Thursday, September the 8th. It is 5:37 p.m. We're in the Amber Yeri Boardroom, and we'll have roll call.
Dr. Eugenia Moreno,
Present.
Mr. Hector Noyola,
Absent.
Mr. Jesus Martinez present, Mr. Jose Valdez, Mr. Ricardo Garza,
Present.
Mr. Hector Garcia,
I am present.
Mr. Jose R. Perez.
Absent.
Okay. We have
Thank you.
five members, Dr. No.
Our Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Garcia.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Nelson.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Item number 1 is discussion and presentation to approve and/or ratify monthly disbursements for July 2016 at the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, September 2016, excuse me. And we'll also do item number 2 as well, discussion and presentation to approve monthly reports and/or other updates reports. A, unaudited financial statements. B, donations report. C, tax collection report. Our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Flor Ayala, will take us through these first 2 agenda items. Ms. Ayala?
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Good evening, Madam Board President and board members. Good evening, colleagues. The total cash disbursements for item number 1 were recorded at $19.8 million, of which $15.8 million were related to payroll and $4 million were payments for goods and services. Under item number 2, we have the highlights of unaudited financial statements.
This is for the July 20th?
This is as of July 2016.
170.
Total donations for the month of July were recorded at $6,521, while the fiscal year to date donations were recorded in the amount of $171,716. In our revenues, the month-to-month comparison, we earned revenues in the amount of $18.9 million, which is 8% or $1.3 million more when compared to July 2015. And then we have the year-to-date amounts that were recorded in the amount of $206.6 million or $16.5 million more, or 9% when compared to the same period last year. And this amount, if you note, it's a little bit higher, 16.9. It will be adjusted. We do have an overpayment from TEA. Here we have the tax collection summary report. The September to July collections were recorded at $27.6 million, which is 97% of the budgeted amount of $28.2 million. Then we have the October to July collections, which were recorded at $27.4 million, which is 96% of the adjusted opening levy of $2.4 million. On this slide, we have the expenditures by object. In the month-to-month comparison for the month of July, we recorded $9.1 million worth of expenditures, which is 12% or about $1 million more when compared to July 2015. Then in the fiscal year-to-date amounts, we recorded $182.2 million or 6%, which equates to $9.7 million more when compared to the same period last year. Here we have those same expenditures, but we have them by function. We spent $110.8 million, or 60.85% of the total expenditures in direct instructional services, followed by plant maintenance and operations in the amount of $19.6 million, or about 11% of the total expenditures. In this slide, we have other finances, sources, and uses. For July 2016, we have a year-to-date amount of $17.3 million, which is $50 million more than $2.3 million recorded last year. Here we have the administrative cost ratio, the standard being 11.05%. Our amended budget contains a 7.94%, while the fiscal year-to-date ratio stands at 7.04%.
This one increased, generally we see lower than this, right?
I'm sorry?
Generally, this percentage,
8 point something last year, right? 8.4.
Yes, it would probably, when we close the year, it will probably be at about 8%,
Yeah.
not more than 10. We never go that high.
Pero that's not of the total expenditure.
Again, here we have the summary of the general operating fund. For revenues, we've earned $2.4 million more when we compare the amended budget to the year-to-date actual. Then we have expenditures of 92% of the amended budget. Under the Child Nutrition Program, revenues earned $17.2 million, or 90% of the amended budget of 19.1, and then we have expenditures of 16.4, with encumbrances of about $1 million. If we sum those two amounts, we have expended 88.2% of the amended budget, which is a good rate compared to the time lapsed of 92%. Here we have the E-rate fund. Revenues earned $166,000, or about 55% of what we anticipated to collect. Then we have expenditures of $459,000, with about $500,000 in encumbrances, which makes up for 22% of the amended budget of $4.4 million. Under the Athletics Fund, Fund 181, total revenues earned $211,188, which is 4% of the amount we anticipated to collect. And then we have expenditures of $1.3 million, with about $200,000 in encumbrances, going over the budget slightly by $51,000, but it will be adjusted in August. Here we have the Debt Service Fund, revenues in the amount of $25.2 million, which is 94% of what we anticipated to collect.
is there any more money to come in, or is this it?
For the debt service, this is it.
Not even if taxes are paid? That's-
¿Qué quiere decir esto?
Yes, well,
25 million.
I'm sorry.
We could get a
Este
few
año?
more monies.
From taxes, yes, we collected about 100,000, I
This is
think,
in addition to
200,000
what we
in
had last year.
August.
No.
So, yes, we've collected a little bit more. But, I'm sorry, but state aid, that will be the amount, the total amount has been received.
Tírale los dedos.
Could you explain that one, go back one? I know Mr. Valdez had a question on the...
Yes, I have a question on the unaudited fund balance. It says in there 25 million year-to-date actual what? In other words, is that the money that we appropriated this year for fund balance, and this is what it's ending up?
And
We're
that-
adding, it says in there we added, and correct me if I'm wrong, we added 5.597 million, right?
Well, that's
And
the
bringing it
expenditures.
to a total of 25 million, but that is not our fund balance. Our fund balance is whatever we have there as a balance, a fund balance. What is the total fund balance?
Okay, if you look at the amended budget, that's the amount we're probably going to end up with. At this point in time, as of July 31st, we've only expended $5 million. We have not given the payment for principal and interest on the bonds.
Let me ask you a question a little bit different. What's the total fund balance? En otras palabras, how much money have we got in the,
It will
Fund-
be about
No.
about $5.5 million.
But, wait, no, no, no.
Overall, fund balance is fund balance. In other words, you've thrown it out there, it's not part of this budget anymore.
Fund balance for debt service, for general fund?
General fund.
All right, so for general fund, let me
What
go
is this?
back.
This is not
Is it
general fund?
balance? No.
That's the debt service.
What is this?
That's
Debt
debt
service
service.
fund. That's where we collect funds to pay out our bond
Then it's
obligations.
not fund balance, it's an allocated amount towards debt services. Es lo que estás diciendo.
More than
Oh,
one.
yeah, because it's in a different,
There's more than one fund balance,
right.
Every
not just one.
certain, right. Every, in fund accounting, if you have a separate accounting fund
Ahí te
code,
pregunto.
then
Because
there's possibilities that they may generate fund balance. The big one being general fund.
And how much is
In other
that?
words,
Here's the balance of the general.
It's right here. It's on slide number 9. And if you look at it, we anticipate at this point in time to have $63 million, of which
And then the-
2.6.
the total is the next one, am I correct?
Yes, but at
Okay,
this,
that was the question I had.
yeah, that amount has to do
I
with
thought.
the equation as of July 31st. We have
Okay.
not closed the books yet, so that's why you see a high amount.
Ooh, we have a lot of money.
No, not yet.
on paper only.
Yes, as of July 31st.
That's money in the bank, am I correct?
It's all invested, sir. It can't be sitting down. It's all earning interest.
But it's not invested. We can use it. All I think is the board action. Right?
Everything earns interest, all the funds that we have.
We can use some of it.
Tienes que
No,
sacar,
no,
We can do it one
tienes
time
que sacárselo chingado.
One time,
Contestaciones, hombre.
withdrawal from there.
Tiene raíces, no lo puedes sacar.
That,
No, no se
It's the will of the board.
¿Qué está haciendo ahí?
our sister school did a $19 million one-time to cover their, we don't do that because we got 100 average and we.
How
have somebody
much?
that's very-
How much is the fund balance supposed to be, the general? 2.5 times our payroll?
It's supposed to be 2 month. As per our policy, it's a 2-month expenditure
Policy,
rate.
But there's no state, the good thing is to keep 2 months, but there's nothing in writing that tells you, you have to do this.
But it keeps our
Our
rate,
But
policy
for-
says
for
that.
bond- For bond and for everything else, you have to,
but it
It's
keeps our rate.
favorable.
And what is that?
We have it high.
required.
And what is that number for us?
40 million.
40. Okay.
But it doesn't get
Yeah.
into an A rating with a.
Well, that's
A
not,
plus.
that's not a mandated or required.
No, but-
It's a recommended. And it's mostly for cash flow purposes. You're not going to operate, the old theory that you need it for a rainy day,
We
what
don't have
happens
a
on the
rainy
third
day.
month?
We don't have a rainy day.
But it
They
also,
don't rain here.
the healthier, correct me if I'm wrong, the healthier the fund balance, the lower rate that we get when we go for bonds and all this because
Yes.
of the
Ojalá.
practice that we do to keep a healthy hunt.
Correct. It helps in the interest rate. that
We already had that discussion before. It doesn't impact that, okay?
It does.
No, it does not. It does not. Okay, we had
If
we
you
had the
draw
discussion
down
con los-
from it, you won't get 100% on the first.
No,
It
no, this
depends on
this
the
is,
rate that is drawn down,
mira,
yes.
This is important because there's a belief out there, and it's a myth, that you're required to have 2 months. You do not. It's not a requirement. You show me.
It's
It's in
only
the
a
policy.
policy.
Yes, it's on the
So it
policy.
depends on how much you think of the policy.
No, the issue is, my question was,
It's a policy.
is it a requirement? No, it's not, okay?
But it is a policy.
It is a policy. We would
It's a
need to get rid of
recommendation,
it.
No,
but
it's
it's not a
written
requirement.
as a policy.
It's,
You show me. Okay?
Yes, sir, I can provide you with
All
a
right.
policy.
And, well, I mean, like I
it's a
said,
policy that you can change as a board, but it is a policy. Not that
No,
we're
no,
going to
it's
do
our
any
policy,
changes.
yeah, but it's not a
It's our
requirement by
policy.
anybody.
Exactly.
No,
Okay.
it's our policy.
Yeah.
It's our
Wow,
policy.
our policies,
just for that, I want to change it to 4 months.
Great
Then
great
it will be
boards make
62
policies
million.
every day.
It will be 80 million?
No.
Then
That
we'll
would be
be
the goal.
under.
I'm not trying to spend it, okay? I'm just saying that these myths go around, There was a time when we had $300,000 in fund balance. I know, we don't want to go back to that.
There was a time when,
And the sky didn't fall, and the sky didn't fall.
And
That's
we
what you
were
were
paying,
principal.
we were paying 700,000 in interest.
Thank you.
To keep,
The new board, yeah,
to meet payroll.
That is true.
And the banks loaned us just like that. No problem.
Understand?
So now we have the special revenue funds. Do we have any questions? I believe the Ms. Cortez gave you a copy of the balances for the SIG grants. We anticipate to zero all those funds out by
So for the
August.
first time, we get a report that says that we spend all of our priority and focus improvement grant monies. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
very much. Thank you, Ms. Cortez.
Thank you.
Is there any other grants that have money that will expire if they're not spent?
No. All of them will roll forward, whatever we have.
What do you mean by?
Do we expect any school improvement money at all this year?
We have not, are we?
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Nelson.
Evening.
The projection is that the Focus and Priority Campus will receive $15,000 next year.
All of these that
All of
were
them.
before?
So no more will we have the $500,000 with the Priority and Focus,
Okay.
like we did this year. We expect $180,000 only for this coming year.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to say, Dr. Moreno, just briefly, just so we're clear, you know, there are school districts that are improvement required, and I don't know what level they're at or whatnot, but I just want to be clear that I have friends that are superintendents, and their boards are being required to go to these meetings in Austin because they're improvement required, and what they're changing is the governance model. Now, I would build a case that what they're going to is something we already do in terms of our laser-like focus on instruction, but when I heard that this week, I thought that was just a phenomena to be discussed, because what they're basically linking is the leadership of the Board of Trustees and the superintendent to improvement required campuses. And
So we're ahead of the game.
I would like to, conclude that from hearing people were required, like they're saying some improvement required districts, the board's saying, well, 4 of us can't go. And then TEA's talking about taking their funding if 4 people don't go. So that's just something for us to, number one, stay focused on our instructional agenda. And I just was saying to our director of federal programs, because I'd want to have a head start on that.
I don't know, we're far ahead. I think it's that the other ones are so far behind.
Something. We're definitely in a good spot.
Overall, the state of Texas gives us different statistics.
I think that we don't see anything with the finances and the budget because things are going so well, because we've maintained our fund balance intact for more than,
Sure.
close to 10 years now?
Yes.
And that's important, but because it's there, nobody talks about it.
You know, the other thing is on Monday, they're having I think this is comical. They're having a poverty summit.
Yes, and
And-
somebody needs to bring us the information.
Well, we will, but think about that. They're having over 15, quote-unquote, high-performing school districts that have large numbers of students with poverty. Every presenter, there's 15 presenters, 15 school districts, only 2 of them have 0 improvement required schools. Of the 2 that have 0 improvement required schools, they're at 70% poverty or less. So I feel like we're one of the highest performing high poverty districts that is not getting the credit that the kids deserve. Because our kids are outperforming. We have a summit, we don't even get invited, for the record. So,
Well, maybe we will after this year when we have 0 improvement required.
when we have some consistency, because we had 4 just a year ago. Maybe that's, yes. Point well taken. I just wanted to say that, and I want our
Besides-
federal programs director to watch that.
By then, our college readiness will be pretty high.
10-4. Index 4, right.
Explain to me, just briefly, remind me again what that Dr. Hockman was for? That fund, 482, Dr. Hockman?
Those are small grants that the teachers apply for. Dr. Hotman,
Issues them?
yes, has this program, and the teachers, they're pretty small, they're
Yeah.
$200, $500, but teachers often have a difficult time spending it for classroom supplies.
We need to make sure, we let teachers know,
Yes,
especially
we do
science
follow.
teachers that need some of those small stuff that's so difficult to buy.
Yes, and we do push, but
You know, the other one that...
Maybe
that
concentrate in the science department this year.
somebody
Well,
used to-
it goes back to the teacher that applied for them, the teacher that kind of owns it,
Okay.
and I don't know what happens at the campus level.
Somebody left at the, on 487, that TFB Garden Grant, they left $86 in there. Can't believe that.
Where?
Just kidding, Robert. Good job.
Actually, it's not closed yet. We might be at zero next month.
That's probably because
That's
he
one
wasn't,
salad, that's one more salad
No.
bar right there.
Well,
that's
it will
probably
be at
because he
zero
wasn't
next
allowed
month.
to spend it.
Right.
We'll zero it out. We'll reclass something. I know. And here we have the summary of construction projects. Are there any questions?
I saw that already.
May I continue? Madam Board President? Item number 3, discussion and presentation on the following budget amendments. Item 3A, BA 1617-01, discussion and presentation to approve the 2005 series EDA budget amendment in the amount of $9,704 to purchase portable storage containers for the final phase of the Lamar Middle project. Item 3B, BA 1617-02, discussion and presentation to approve the general operating fund budget amendment in the amount of $24,100 as a result of transfers between functional expenditure categories from the Board of Trustees discretionary funds. Next item, item 4, discussion and presentation to approve and award the following bids, proposals, quotations, and contracts. Item 4A, this is a renewal, TASB Biboard Co-op vendor number 416-12. This is for dust and wet mops rentals. The evaluation committee recommends renewal of the contract to UniFirst for an estimated amount of $55,000. Item 4B, renewal. This is RFP number 14-025. This is for monitoring of alarms. The evaluation committee recommends renewal of the contract to Superior Alarms for an estimated amount of $31,000 with $8. Item 4C, renewal. This is an interlocal agreement on employment compensation insurance. The evaluation committee recommends renewal of the contract to TASB Risk Management Fund for an estimated amount of $56,579. Excuse me. Item 4D,
Where are we?
renewal.
4D.
RFQ number 2014-012. This is for psychological services. The evaluation committee recommends renewal of the contract to Dr. Jose Miranda, Dr. Guillermo Gonzalez, and Dr. Clarissa Coons for an estimated amount of $100,000.
On these contracts, the new policies call for disclosure of interested parties. Is that already part of it?
Yes,
So we've got that form in there already for
Yes,
for
you
the-
should
all
have.
these contracts that are coming to us.
before coming for board approval, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can the board go to this?
It's a good question.
Item 4E, renewal. This is a Region 114-11-0Z by board number 449-14-487-15. And this is for educational materials and supplies. And the evaluation committee recommends awarding contracts to all of those vendors listed. Any questions for an estimated amount of $900,000?
Madam President, there was an issue in the Laredo Morning Times, I'd heard about it before, on that textbook on the history of Mexican Americans. Okay. I'd like to have our board discuss that in the near future. There's been a lot of concerns that it is very damaging, it twists a lot of history and so on and so on. And I think that, if I'm correct, and Dr. Nelson
Do
can
we have
correct me.
time to get it on the agenda of the regular board meeting, Dr. Nelson?
Yes, ma'am, we could. You know what I think we should also do is invite our representative from the State Board of Education to come speak to the board, because he spearheaded the concerns about the book.
That'd be fine.
Ruben Cortez.
That'd be
So
great.
we'll invite him, and maybe
Right.
we can incorporate it into a workshop or a meeting, but we'll try for next Thursday, but
Right.
as soon as we can, because I've spoke to him about this issue, and he really has had the region rally behind him, signed off on a letter of support and all that, so.
Are we using the book? Are we going to buy that book for use?
Well, we don't
I
have
do
to.
not think so, because I don't think we're teaching the elective Mexican-American history. Now, I'll double-check all that, but I know that it was a special course, so we'll get all that to the
We
board.
should make our voices heard, you know,
Why
this
would
is
we
a
not
very
want to teach
highly...
about our heritage?
Why are we teaching Mexican-American history?
Because we already know it.
Why wouldn't we want to teach on our heritage?
We absolutely would want to teach about our heritage. I didn't say we didn't want to, I'm just saying that it's an elective course, but we can study Mexican-American history. Plus, we also studied in United States history and Texas history.
Dr. Nelson, just for informational purposes,
Laredo history.
when there was a big uprising about Mexican Americans and the schools and everything that was going on a few years ago that all of us remember, one of the things that the Raza Unida was asking for was that they be allowed to teach Mexican American history,
Right.
because it was so important for people to know their own history, you know, to take them from that history is not a good thing, so.
Absolutely.
Well,
When
I
you-
agree.
when you put it together with the American history and everything else, it becomes diluted as part of the overall picture, not the intricate
Trust
parts of
me.
our history that are
Trust me, I know. My culture suffers from the same thing.
Okay,
we teach
so-
Laredo
So we
history,
all
you know?
understand what that means.
We'll have Trump come and talk about it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We have, I believe we're teaching Laredo history.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we can also teach the other one. And
that might not be a good thing.
something about George Washington, that he had something to do with the Martha Washington thing, you know?
It wasn't the Delaware he crossed, it was the Rio Grande.
Okay,
Good point. We'll follow up on that.
thank you.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Item 4F, renewal RFP number 150-018, and this is for managed print services and consumables. The Evaluation Committee recommends renewal of the contract to Dayhill for an estimated amount of $1,657,150.
Dr. Moreno, we'd like to table item 4G for a future meeting. We're going to, for the record, we're going to open that back up and allow, I just would like to take another look at that. Mr. Garza, we're talking about item 4G, we're going to table that? All right.
Yes, thank you.
Item 4H, renewal RFP number 15-031.
Okay.
This is for special education software. The Evaluation Committee recommends awarding a contract to Succeed Ed for an estimated amount of $49,903. For I, RFP number 16-019. This is for standardized testing materials. The Evaluation Committee recommends awarding contracts to the following vendors listed on the box for an estimated amount of $150,000. For J, this is the Interlocal Purchasing System Co-op vendor number 2052716, and this is for portable storage containers. The Evaluation Committee recommends recommends awarding a contract to Mobile Mini, Inc. for an estimated amount of $30,000. Item 4K, RFP number 16-026. This
I
is
have a
for
question on 4K.
charter services.
Can we request copies of their maintenance records of the companies that we hire
Yes, sir.
because of what has been happening here
For
lately?
each vendor?
Yeah. In other words, their maintenance records on the buses that they're going to be...
Has the RFP's already been put out? We could still have them submit.
Well, not can we, but let's request them.
What about the ones that are, could we have the board award them, and then those that receive the award, we get their maintenance records?
Well, maybe we should request them before, and then based on that, we award or don't award.
Or before
Okay.
contracting with a bus to show us their,
There's rating systems out there that'll give you that information, rather than, because I don't think...
for the bus company?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let you know everything that they're doing, but a rating system, there's associations out there that'll tell you where they're rated according to their...
Well-
According to their...
Accident records and...
For that.
Yeah, but they're mostly on
That's a good point.
price and things like that, not on maintenance, ¿me entiendes?
Yeah, but I mean, it's based on everything that they're doing. If they're holding their end of the deal, you know, they...
Well,
We can certainly look
the
into
problem
that.
here is that we're dealing with human lives. If they make a mistake,
Can I,
Any recs, yeah, we can do
yeah,
that.
in the application, does it state there how many accidents that their company has
Safeties.
had? How many times the buses have broken down in a year based on different contracts? Because we hire these buses for the cheaper rate is not always the best rate.
Not all of them have different rates. So Cougar, I think they have the most affordable rates, and then
But-
there's some
But
that
affordable is not always the best, because some of the affordable, half our trips are late or whatever the situation is, because they broke down on the way over there. By the time you get another bus to come and pick up these kids, I mean, we need to make sure that, and just my opinion on, that we look at okay, how many breakdowns you all have last year? How many accidents you have? How many times did they have to call in for a bus? That's just information.
Just good
for
practice,
ourselves.
yes.
It's good practice to make sure that
Oh.
our kids are as safe as possible when we put them on these vehicles.
So we'll give that a review, and hopefully we can identify enough historical data to present to the board so that the board will feel comfortable considering possible action.
Sure.
If not, then we'll have that conversation.
Thank you.
So,
Do we need to award this very soon? In other words, do we expect to be using them?
well,
And
if
we
it
don't
doesn't
have
get
a-
approved, they'll be on the yellow
The
dot.
contract from last year has expired already?
It expires in this month.
Okay.
Another question, it expired this month.
It will expire.
It will.
The other question I have is, so going to the valley, we're using I shouldn't call them yellow dogs, what's the appropriate, internal
Yellow
buses?
buses.
Yeah, yellow-colored vehicles?
School
Okay,
buses.
we don't use charter buses.
Sometimes, depends.
See, my question is, are they going to be coming from Sherryland and Mission on charter buses? I think they are.
Everybody comes in charter buses.
But
So I'm
maybe
not saying
because
we
they don't have
have
good
to.
buses. We have good buses.
Right, thank you for that position, and it wasn't intended to debate. I just would, that's just something we need to think about, because equity.
We don't have the budget, or we have the budget?
what's it called?
You might want to get this on. It's called, the website is Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And they give you basically how safe is the charter bus company, and it gives you the ratings as to everything that you're talking about right now.
One more time, Trustee Garcia.
I don't know if that...
Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Well, I don't know if that will give us information on
Yeah, it does.
on the buses itself, Last year, they
But
probably had a
the safety
breakdown.
of it.
Yeah, the safety
It'll
part.
give you all the data, everything that they have to be reporting. It gives you how many wrecks,
No, we'll go
and all
take
that
a look
kind
at
of
it.
And the
Absolutely.
insurance company will
Yeah.
access their insurance records.
Well, let's
If you get enough
see what they
information for the-
provide.
by
They
the
should
next
not be
meeting, then we
reluctant
can
to
talk
provide
about it.
anything.
To make the approval.
We got it. Know what to do.
Okay. 4L, interlocal agreement, Region 19. This is for Allied States Cooperative membership. The administration recommends the district join the Region 19 co-op to take advantage of the awarded contracts and discounts. Item 4M,
Hold on, what goods and services?
through their
Like
co-op,
Food, or is this?
everything,
Give me a-
pretty much like any other co-op. They have already bidded out most of the items school districts use.
Before the district can purchase from any of the co-ops, the board must approve that co-op.
To join,
So that's
yes.
all we're doing here, approving that co-op for in the future, if there's something we want to buy from them, it's already an approved Co-op.
The Region 19 Co-op, the El Paso, Texas Co-op. And can you give me an example of what types of goods or services we would buy from them?
Oh, it can be anything from food products to television sets, to vehicles, to day-to-day supplies. They have a wide range of contracts.
Pretty diverse.
They're just
And it
like-
doesn't mean the providers are literally located in El Paso either. The provider could be out of San Antonio that happened to
all over the
bid
country.
With Region
in
19?
Region 19.
Thank you, Mr. Alcantara.
Such as the Lexia reading licenses we're going to be purchasing through that cooperative, and the evaluation committee recommends awarding a contract to Lexia Learning Systems for an estimated amount of $100,000. Item 4N, U.S. Services Administration Co-op Vendor Number GS-02F-0441D, and this is for Virtual Portable Law Enforcement Training Simulator. The Evaluation Committee recommends awarding a contract to Megit Training Systems for an estimated amount of $100,000. And this is funded through the Carl Perkins Grant, federal funds.
For our criminal justice classes.
Item 5 has to do with tax refunds. Staff recommends approval of the refunds. Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Ms. Ayala. Appreciate your presentation. Item number 6 is discussion and presentation on the timeline to evaluate the internal auditor. As you know, we've come to the time of the year where we annually evaluate, where the board, annually evaluates our internal auditor. We would like to propose that we open up the window starting today. We've provided you, our office has provided you with a copy of the board-approved evaluation form for the internal auditor. We'd ask that you complete those evaluations and submit them to Josie Rodriguez no later than the end of the day Tuesday. We'll be happy to pick them up. We will summarize and collate that document and present an evaluation that is reflective of each board member having the opportunity to participate. We'll present that in closed session on Thursday for the board to consider and possibly take action.
When do we get our audit plan for the year?
October? In October.
And is it possible that with that audit plan, we get a little history of the cumulative audits that have already taken place? Like if we've been doing a certain one every year, let that show it. If this
Show a little historical.
It was a brand-new one, we had never done it before, let that show that happened. What
Yes,
do you-
ma'am. Any other comments or questions? If not, may we proceed? Item number 7 is discussion and presentation to approve a certification of unopposed candidates in single-member trustee districts 1 and 4 for an election scheduled for November 8th, 2016. As trustees are well aware, trustees 1 and 4 only have one candidate that has completed the process to be considered for those specific seats. And so for that, we need to approve a certification of unopposed candidates so that we can go forward with our election process. So we'll be recommending approval on consent agenda. Any comments or questions? Based on that, may I proceed? Item number 8 is tied to item number 7. Discussion, for the record, discussion and presentation to approve an order of cancellation in single-member trustee districts 1 and 4 for an election scheduled for November 8th, 2016. So since they're unopposed, with board action, we are recommending to cancel those specific precinct elections. Any comments or questions? I'd like to table item number 9 indefinitely. That brings us to item number 10. Item number 10 is discussion and presentation on HVAC needs district-wide. Because we have such a strong Board of Trustees, I feel like we've already discussed this in our Operations Committee meeting. Our Office of Maintenance and Operations is working together with my office to prepare a comprehensive list of needs that we have for HVAC. We've already allocated money in our capital improvement plan, but it does not meet all of the HVAC needs that we have. So if you just allow us to continue, I know our office today sent out a communication to the campuses, and so we're coupling that with what's been done out of Mr. Garcia's office in maintenance and operations, and we'll be bringing a recommendation along with a budget amendment request to take care of this situation.
In that issue, just figure what you need and bring us a budget.
Right. So it
yeah.
just needs to be evidence that it's comprehensive. And so, like, for example, in our CIP, we already identified places that need air conditioner work. This summer, they already replaced, I think, over 28 compressors. So we've been working on it. You know, I want to say Mr. Garcia, Feliciano Garcia, really didn't start till July. And so, you know, this board was real clear before we ever got Mr. Garcia on board on what we were supposed to be doing with AC. And so we've got some historical data that we need to include in what our new leadership is providing. So it's all going well. We feel good about it, and we'll be bringing evidence of detailed planning for this so that it's not a annual issue.
We got to make sure that we put this on a fast track and not on a turtle.
Yes, sir.
And evidence to bring it back to us, so we're again, very transparent in what we're spending and how we're spending it, and not just giving an open check to say, you know what, give me the
Just go get with it.
I'll solve everything. No.
Point well taken.
Well, I'll go over the detail, but you're also going to include not necessarily what's already down right now, but what's going to be needed and what we foresee next year, what's going to be needed. We have to get the list of the aging equipment and where we stand, anything over 12 years old, things of that nature.
Well, I think that's what that's a good deal you said that. That's, I think, the evaluation that we do, even if we do it in-house, that we say, this is our needs, and then once we know what our needs, it costs us $1 million. So we know what our need is for the rest of the year, for the next 5 years or 10 years within that, and then go out for bids and let's get some. They already have things to do, like we were talking about. Get a company, go out for bids, come in here and do everything at one time so it's done, finished, out, and they can still work on the smaller things of the schools that are not complaining to keep that, but the bigger picture, we need to work on it now.
Yes, sir. May I proceed, Dr. Moreno?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 11 is discussion and presentation on the 2016-2017 Capital Improvement Plan roofing projects, including options to procure professional consulting design services. What we're asking for is item number 10, Ms. Rodriguez, please correct me if I'm wrong. Item number 10, we're going to remove from the regular agenda. Item number 11, we are keeping on the agenda because we need board action to go out and hire a roofing expert or an architect to help us put together the plan that we're bringing.
What is the anticipated amount for the contract?
Well, that's kind of hard to say right now because we currently have $337,000 of allocated funds specifically for roofing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
No, I'm talking about the consultant.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The consultant's going to come in and going to help us review all of our needs in terms of roofing.
How much do you anticipate the consultant will cost us, Doctor?
It would be ignorant for me to say because he has to go do the assessment. So.
Can I ask a question to Ayala?
10,000, 15,000?
In an emergency situation, we have to go through the 30 days or 60 days to go out for bids and somebody is going to give us an estimate to do the work? Or being it's an emergency that we can go, you know what, we can go to a roofer that we've used already in the past, say because of the situation, we're able to say, you know what, we want an estimate of price in this so we can get it rolling a lot faster. How do we get it to become action as soon as we can?
Emergency is defined in policy, and there is such a clause.
Yeah, I know that.
And that usually happens when we have extraordinary events like hurricanes, snow, and things like that.
Rain is
Or heavy,
considered.
storms, yes.
Right.
But I don't know if
Water
our
leaks.
situation calls for that.
The leaks of the roofs are caused by rain, which does qualify us to go into a mode that we need to get this, if it's another rain, we're going to get flooded, our
I think
schools.
we can get started in seeking who we're going to select.
Right.
Instead of trying to get around the idea that this is going to go out to, requesting RFPs or whatever we're going to do with it.
We got to fix all the problems
I
that we have out
believe
there.
the intent of the agenda item is for us to get an architect so they can design the roof and
Yes,
give
and
us
sometimes
direction.
you can get an architect, they design the roof, and we hire out so that gets done. Sometimes you'll get all of it from a particular, the different companies themselves have their
A
own
roofing
architects.
consultant.
I don't
But they have them themselves.
Oh, I see.
And
I can
and
pretty
they
much-
give you a proposal on
To
what
be
it
both
looks.
on the
I
same...
can pretty much say you don't need
bid.
you don't need an engineer, an
Okay.
architect to design what the roof is. The roof's
Let us
already
look
been
into
designed.
that. Oh.
We just need a specialist on this, how to repair a roof. We're not recreating the roof. We're just going in there and repairing the roof. You don't need an engineer for that.
There's
I
a
don't know if we
requirement
require
that
the
if it's
seal.
over a certain amount of
I
money,
think
you
we need a
get,
seal, yeah,
yes, sealed documents.
yes.
Well, you still need, because we don't know the extent of one school from another, so we still have to figure on that, but I agree with Dr. Moreno that sometimes they have their own in-house.
Right.
They have to give you a schematic of what they're going to do, number one. Number two, then you have to provide us with submittal information on what they're going to do.
But there's
And it's
things
up to us in-house to agree to it or not.
So, I understand that all of these comments, and they're well taken, we're trying to fast-track this. The bottom line is, we don't have a comprehensive list yet of all of our roofing problems. We have not documented
But we can start,
We have 337,000 identified that can go
Right.
today, and that includes Sigadoa High School, Sigadoa Middle School, Dovalina Library, which I want to say is some of the big ones we've heard about as we've gotten this rain.
So,
Nelson, I would recommend that, and maybe we can bring an action, that we have 4 or 5 roofers, that we start doing what we need to do now to stop all these leaks, but still, at the same time, get somebody who's going to give us, for the whole district, to make sure that it doesn't happen,
That's the plan.
again, so we're protected for the next couple of years.
That's the plan. We have one roofer, is that right? Yeah, we have one.
We have one roofer, but we already approved money for it, so we can go out there and start to work at the different
We'll try
schools.
to
Over
expedite the whole
300,000.
process, yes.
Let's do it.
well, let me ask you this also, that seems weird to me. I mean, there's, I know of 3 of them that, is it because those are the only ones that have responded, the one roofer that we have on our,
On our staff.
well, on our,
On our
it's
staff.
in-house.
Yeah, that
That's
does
in-house.
roofs all
Oh, yeah.
In-house, not
Oh,
roofing.
okay, I'm going to,
I've been wanting to have him start cutting grass for a few days,
all
but
right, all right.
he's got plenty of
No,
work.
because the rainy season's going to be done at the end of September. Chances are we're going to get more after that, but I'm foreseeing that by the time we get that RFQ going, we're not going to get an architect here till about November.
That's
So-
what I said, we don't need an architect.
We'll find a way to expedite it.
Okay.
All right. Dr. Moreno?
yes.
Thank you. Item number 12 is discussion and presentation on the early college high school application process and update on the Dr. Dennis D. Cantu Health Science Magnet School. We've had great conversations about applying for the Dr. Dennis D. Cantu Health Science Magnet School to seek and ultimately attain early college high school status with the Texas Education Agency. Really to follow the model that we currently have at Garcia Early College High School. That's our vision. Now, there's one issue that I really feel like we have to just get clarification on as we prepare to complete the application by November, is the concept, respectfully, the concept that this is a magnet program, and under its current criteria, students from Nixon and Figueroa can come to the Health Science Magnet and remain graduates of their home campus. Under this new application criteria, we would have to end that. There are trustees that feel like that is a small hurdle to jump and that we should move forward, and there are others that feel like that needs to be discussed with the entire board. So for us, we're committed to doing an innovative program with our Health Science Magnet either way, but this piece is just, it's a sensitive topic that I've heard both board members talk on both sides of it. So Dr. Moreno, you want to add to that, or?
Yes, I think this is part of what is required for us to
Apply.
have the status of early college name on our campus. I think that status is important. I think that status is what's currently driving the success of the current early college high school that we now have. And, you know, that's exactly the basis for getting this school going, the fact that we've done so well with the other one. And the fact that we have many more students who we think we can challenge so that they can perform at the levels, you know, at this levels.
I just believe that we're going to be hurting Martin High School at the end of the day. Because you're going to be taking all these kids and now their scores and all that are not going to be part of Martin High School, and it's going to hurt us at the end of the school. I know there's magnet schools that, like Alexander, their magnet school completely separate, but their scores count as Alexander High School, not separate.
Well, for the record, these scores will count for Martin High School. It is a school within a school. It's not a separate school. It won't have its own...
That's not what's being explained to us.
It doesn't have its own graduation, anything. It's a school within a school concept.
Right, the issue is that there are,
Objective then,
I'm sorry.
here, when you have a high school, it's a high school, like the early college high school that we have, okay? There, you don't specialize on any one major topic. It's a high school. Here, we are specializing on health, which is fine. But then, why are we dragging in the whole high school into health?
No,
No, the only...
we're only...
And so the only thing is that whatever happens is they can do whatever they want, so long as, in my eyes, I'm just hoping that any testing that they do, that the home school gets the credit for it, rather
The
than...
testing will
any-
be the home school, but the home school will be Martin High School. That is the only home
That's the
school.
problem. That killed
Yes.
everybody from Nixon.
From Nixon and
Well,
everybody.
that's,
that-
you know,
that wants to be part of
those
it.
are the big discussions that took place when we got our first early college. And-
We weren't
and-
part of that discussion.
That's right, but we ought to be glad that it went through.
No, I understand that, but you know what, we're not giving the opportunity of the early college, the early college at TAMU is that it was based on the first child of every home that didn't get to go to college and all this. This is something else. This is
No,
something, you know what, if I want to go,
Not very different.
this, anybody can apply.
Not very different.
Anybody can apply for
Well,
this.
here we go. We're trying to do something with LCC now. And are we going to go through the same process again? And we're not going to, you know, so now that we know about this is happening right now, that if we go to LCC and to put an early college there, that at least every kid that goes from Nixon, Ciarroa, that they get credit for, instead of that early college, but that these schools get credit for any testing that they do.
No, the
Well, you can do that
concept...
right now.
The concept is that the school has to be, even independent of the rest of the high school, it has to be able to provide that additional challenge, that additional, you're a cohort, you know, you start when you're a ninth grader and you go through your 4 years. Those are all things that don't exist in the magnet school right now. You know, the students start at different times of the year. Students drop, students enter, some students take so many classes. That whole curriculum will be structured so that we try to report on 60 hours for these students. And we think that we can duplicate what we have at the early college, you know, in a limited way, but using the facilities that we have at Martin High School. And we'd like to bring that opportunity to these students, just like we have it for the other students that are out there.
As long as we make sure that this is not part of Martin High School where the director has to put full duty
Oh, no,
with other
there's a
assistants,
requirement
okay?
that the
Which is happening
director-
right now.
Right, but that's part of the
Right.
requirement of the early college
That takes
status.
away
Yes.
from the staff
Yes.
there.
There you
So
go.
that they can continue development, that's fine.
Those requirements are there if you want to seek the early college status.
And I like the idea also of them remaining at Martin High School because social services and social education is part of a general education. All we have at the early college is economic and political education. In other words, we don't meet their social needs. They don't have any sports or things of that nature. Maybe we should start them. But they're lacking that area,
I think so.
okay?
I think so.
Well-
But-
And this has been brought to my attention by some people, some professors from TAMIU.
When you all
Okay.
put, when you all, now I'm gonna go back to that school, because when you all put all the guidelines, that was one of they know, when they signed the paper saying, we're going to that school, there was no activities but schooling. That's what they're
No,
there
no,
for.
whether they know it or
That's what
not-
we're spending the money for.
Whether they know it or not, the fact is they're not getting it.
They're
Ya me
getting, they're
entiende?
getting a P class, they're there to study. They're
They
not
don't, they
there to
don't
do
know what it
anything
means to
else.
cheer and scream and all of that.
I do. That's just what
Well,
you,
we
that's
won't
what you all
go into
decide.
that.
That's another debate. But in this particular school, I still think at the end of the day, 2 to 3 years from now, we're going to be saying, you know what, we shouldn't have done this, because the students of Martin are the ones, the rest of the school of Martin's going to suffer when it comes to the score.
No.
Secondly, let me just finish.
They're gonna
Secondly,
benefit.
a lot of these classes that they have in the Dennis Cantu math, which is the English, the math and all that, it's shared by the main campus. When you have a class, because they don't have the numbers to, let's say, an AP class, they have 5 kids from Cantu, and everybody else they're gifted and talented from Martin High School. We're not going to be able to do that anymore.
We're
so
going to
we're creating
do
a
lots
problem.
of stuff that is part of the requirements. There are requirements for these students, but
But what happened
there's
to all the other students?
the ones that don't apply for it?
Right.
Well, they continue where they're at.
Yeah, but they were taking, the majority of those classes that were AP were taken at
No.
Dennis Cantu. Yes, I saw their master
No, no.
schedule.
Well,
Tell me,
that-
correct me if I'm
I think we need to have a
I-
special discussion on this, but you have good points and
Yes, but definitely, the students, the Martin High School will not be hurt on the accountability.
That's
That is-
true.
Do we know
That
any-
is
do we-
definitely
I'm worried
a
about the
fact.
kids, you
But
know.
for us
Who cares
to
about the accountability?
For us
funding
to
with this?
think that they are is a
No.
disservice to the school.
We do local funding?
Right.
Oh, we don't lose funding?
So what we want to be clear of is that this is such a perfect example of the complexities of this. We wholeheartedly, enthusiastically support it. We feel like we need to expand our post-secondary agenda, and especially our relationship with our local community college, all of our local higher education institutions. We want more of our kids. There's House bills that have just been enacted that are encouraging more of our kids at younger ages to seek post-secondary education.
Can I have one more question?
Yes, sir.
How many kids right now do we have at the magnet school from Cigaroa or from Nixon?
46, más o menos.
I like this, just to my brain.
80.
Can we survey those? Can we survey those and say, if this was...
We did.
What was the outcome?
Well, we can get some specific data. It's actually closer to 80 kids are at our school. Most are at our health science magnet. Most of them are from Nixon. A small handful are from Cigaroa. For the record, Cigaroa already...
I thought most of them were from Martin.
Well, yeah, I'm not even talking about Martin. That's the biggest group.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that we currently have a group from Nixon that go to Dennis Cantu Health Science, and we have a small group from
How many of
Cigaroa.
those kids, when you surveyed, said they would stay in the program?
Está jugando Pokemon. It's not Pokemon, is it?
At this time, I'm not able to determine the chart, but there's a chart that we'll provide for you. That question was specifically asked of the 300 kids that are in the magnet school right now. They were all asked that question, specifically the ones that are from Nixon and from Cigaroa.
So what was the question that was asked?
The question was, is if you knew that you could not graduate from Nixon would you still go to the Dennis D.
So why
Cantu?
didn't we ask if you can get 60 hours of college credit by coming here, will you be willing to transfer?
I think that's a good question, but respectfully, and I definitely don't want to be a part of this debate, but you can get 60 college hours at Garcia Early College High School.
And Nixon is-
You can get
Except
60.
that it's not happening.
It has not happened.
That's right. And that's because the early college status requires certain parameters that make it happen.
That push that.
That provide the support that the students need. And
Well,
like
we
I
have
said,
we have dual enrollment at all the schools too.
yes,
Right.
and dual enrollment, and this is much bigger than dual enrollment, and we should not keep these students from an opportunity
I just like
To
to
be
know how
able
many
to get
kids that- from
60
Nixon are not
hours.
going to be able to go there.
and to be able to be college-ready like we have them at the early college,
Yes, ma'am.
and all the
How many
opportunities
kids
that
said
we
they don't
have.
wanna go?
I'm sorry, Ms. Martinez, would you like to say something?
She did, there were just 88 kids there.
Oh, okay, I was just wondering. I'd be happy to share the podium with you as we participate in this conversation with the board. Okay, you
I just
sure?
want to remind everybody that this is a really big opportunity for the students, and we need to be very careful that we
We did gotta-
Don't become
I agree-
narrow-minded.
I agree 100% with you, Dr. Moreno. But we need to look at the big picture in this.
the big picture.
2 years from now, we're going to be saying, that, you know
No.
what? Our
You can
scores are
always
going to be
go
coming
back.
down.
No, scores will not be impacted
They
at
will?
Martin High School.
No, not the impact, you're not going to get the score from Nixon, you're not going to get the graduation class from Nixon, you're going to have those kids there. It's going to be better for the other schools because they're going to
That's
get that.
exactly the arguments against the early college when it was first set up.
Were you there?
I heard them.
Oh, you're a principal, right?
No, but I heard the arguments.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about the pros and cons behind this, and so that we won't repeat the same processes that.
And we need
go to
some facts
LCC.
and statistics.
Why
You
do
know.
we have to approve?
Well, and that's what I think Ms. Martinez, Dr. Rios' point is that the application has to be approved by the board before it goes. And so there's some technical parts of this application. This is one of them. There's not a lot, but I just, you saw how lively the discussion got very quickly. And so we're ready to do either way.
Well,
So
Dr.
we can
Nelson,
have-
we don't want false information being said, and we know that it's false information to say that Martin High School will suffer if,
That is absolutely true.
Okay,
I
so
agree with you.
let's make
Now,
sure.
it is also very clear that if you are a kid at Nixon, right now, you can graduate from Nixon High School and still go to the Dennis D. Cantu Magnet, and we have 40-something students that already do that. So I'm fine with grandfathering them and telling the rest, if you want to come to the Dennis D. Cantu Health Science Magnet, you need to enroll as, actually, you'd be in the Dennis D. Cantu Early College High School. That's a school within a school at Martin. So when you when we have that graduation, we're going to have that graduation with Martin. That's where the health science kids will
Remind
graduate.
me again, how does that benefit anybody by doing it that way?
Well,
it's one of the
Dr. Moreno and
requirements
I,
for the early college.
we
staff.
really feel like our current Garcia Early College High School is a model that has improved the overall rigor of our district. And so kids that choose to apply, go through the selection process and join Garcia Early College High School, they outperform every other kid we have in the district. They do. And so the thinking is, if you provide that same type of structure, the organized expectations, have to make decisions about athletics. And I think in this model, we're going to allow them to participate in Martin Fine Arts and athletics, which is a difference than our Garcia Early College High School. So it's clear to us, but there's going to require some votes, and there's people on the board
But
that.
let's talk about, because I really don't feel, I've had some concerns voiced to me about, we're going to take the best and brightest, and we're going to put them somewhere else, and it puts a little bit more of a burden at Sierra Roa and at Nixon to do this, just like the engineering school at Sierra Roa. And I'm not sure if this is where we're headed with the Sierra Roa school also, in engineering, that we turn it into what we're trying to do here, a school within a school.
We could.
So I guess there's some pros and cons behind it, and I just, at this point, I don't know, what, by the end of this month, we have to,
We have
really, we
needs
need a
to
vote by the end
improve
of
our
October.
students.
Me too.
I mean, the
We need
rigor
to
of the
approve it.
Over.
I mean, that's one of the
What you just
guidelines.
said on the rigor of the school and all that, and correct me, Dr. Rios, if I'm wrong, if I do the same concept and go to every high school and say, you know what, every classroom I'm gonna put it 15-1 or 14-1, 16-1, we'd be more successful because the teacher ratio to student ratio would be a lot smaller, and they get a lot more out of the classroom than having a classroom of 30 and 27 and 28 to 1. It's a big difference. The
That's true.
reason they're successful there, because you know what, they're 14-1 ratio, 13-1 ratio.
They're not 14-1.
15-1 ratio. They
They're
are. They're
not.
small class. No.
Just look at VMT, those are the ones that have like 5-1, right, in some
All right,
classes.
so we're kind of veering off the agenda.
What are we doing?
At this point-
We're gonna have a good discussion, you know, especially on the present early college, okay?
Absolutely.
Supposedly, that is supposed to be for kids who are at risk of dropping out. Read the guidelines.
Thank you.
You read the guidelines, yet we go the other way. We only get the ones that are way up there high, okay? We're very selective. But we don't want to go into that right now, okay? Let us continue with the
let
agenda,
me-
but if you want to talk about the rules and regulations, you know, hey, the grade board has a lot of discussions
We
to do.
want more
Absolutely.
students to have those
I
opportunities.
think we
Board of
need
the
to-
year.
Yeah.
yeah.
Ms. Moreno, may
I'd like to see
I,
what the Nixon kids, how many kids.
may I say something?
I'm sorry,
Ms.
Doc.
Moreno, may I say something?
Martinez, yes.
Yeah. If I understand it correctly, this is a model that is working in other places. And it's a model that is good for us. It's a model where a community college is tied to a high school and produces excellent results. Now, we need to approve this model to be used in our district. That's what we're going to do. Now, there are some things that might not work according to everybody's thinking, but I think this model will be good for the district in general. We have the facilities at Martin High School at this time, and hopefully we can bring more kids into there. But those kids are going to be taking college courses in government and in other areas from the school in Martin High.
I also would like to respond, Trustee Martinez. Your points are well taken,
Yes.
and it sounds like you support the vision of this application.
Yes, of
Now,
course.
you
We need
should
to go
know-
forward.
You should know that this early college high school that we're proposing has an academic track, House
Yes,
Bill
it's not only
1.
vocational for,
No, it also has a House Bill 5 vocational
right,
track.
yes, it's not only.
Okay, I just
that's what
didn't
I'm
wanna
But
saying.
it's
surprise
60
you.
hours for either track.
But it
Either
does
one
have-
requires,
but it-
both tracks lead to an associate's degree.
Yes, but it does have an academic track.
It does.
I know, that's extremely important.
So-
Not only the vocational track. Now, it used to be that we had mainly just vocational, okay? But now we're going to have both tracks in a similar environment like we had like we have right now in the regular early college that we have.
So in essence, we're saying that, I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying right now, but one of the biggest things that I see is going to do, that if your family has a tradition of having your kids go to Nixon and/or CRO and/or anybody else, you're going to lose that high school experience because you're going to have to make a decision early on to say, well, we'd like you to go over here, but in order for you to get up ahead in life or in school, we're going to have to drop you off, and you're going to have the Martin High School experience.
See,
That
Because,
must
sorry.
have been similar to going to the early college right now
I
in
know,
RMU.
so,
Well, and
They don't have to
if I
come,
could-
they can stay where they're at.
If I could respond to Trustee Garza's comments, really, I feel like as a school district, we should, the best practices models offer students an array of choices. And all this is another choice. And there'll be a group of kids that this model fits for them. And if they do, so be it. Now, if you'd rather be at Nixon, well, then you don't want this program. Say, if you'd rather stay at Sigatoa, then this is not the program for you, because under the structure that we're putting in place, I've already said, most of these kids still are going to probably come from Kristen.
Yeah.
Because we're going to go, we'll try to get 100 kids from there. Now, other kids from other schools will be encouraged to come, just like we do at Garcia Early College. So I want to be emphatically clear that for us, we don't even know if this model will be approved. And if this model is not approved for whatever technicality tends to happen at TEA, we're still going forward with the degree plans. Yeah. We're still going forward with it. Now,
College courses y todo.
the engineering magnet has different structure. You can come from Martin and go to the engineering magnet and come back to Martin. And we plan on leaving that the way it is. So that has a different structure.
And I just feel that
At this
that's the structure that you're able to, you know what, I love engineering.
flexibility.
I love engineering. I want to go take my courses, I'm going to go back to my school. In this one, you know, I really want to go into the healthcare, but I don't want to graduate from Martin High School. All my friends over here, I'm able to go over there, do what I need to do.
But they have a
I
choice.
come back to my campus.
That's right.
Magnet School, VAT is the same way. I get to go over there, do what I need to do, but I get to come back to my campus.
But they have that choice.
thing.
If they want to stay there, fine. If they want to come to this school, fine. Give them the choice.
We're going to discuss this at one of our Saturday workshops, and we'll go forward.
It's symbolically of the Eastern Wall.
Well, the good thing
Well, we have
is
to-
this, yeah.
We have to be sure we're not prejudiced in our decisions.
One of the, if I may say,
All right.
Madam President,
That's right.
I hope that, especially the audience realizes this. We're talking about how to make things better and greater
Much
for our
better.
kids.
That's right.
You know, okay?
That's right.
Our differences are only whether we go this way or that way, but we are going forward.
That's
To
right.
make them better for the
Okay.
students.
I just wanna-
Absolutely.
And I agree
And-
with
and
that.
the same thing,
I want to make it fair for the kids in my
Yeah,
district, too.
the same thing, you know, with that, I've looked very closely at that early college, okay? I'm not against it. As a matter of fact, I don't think we need to follow those state guidelines, and we don't, okay? And it's working, and we can make the other ones work too. Okay? So I told Dr. Nelson, you know, that it's not a personal thing, no. When you look at those guidelines that the state made, I don't think that they're very, very accurate. They don't fit us. One size does
It's
not fit
evolved.
all.
I just think.
So we're on the right
It's-
track.
It's that,
If we
it's
get
that
more
we
paperwork
have,
or documentation on what it's going to.
Well, eso sí.
we have a lot of needs and we have a lot of challenges, and for our students to have 60 hours of college credit is a big
great.
thing. It's not a small thing. So if we have an opportunity to have an additional 100 graduates graduate with 60 college hours, we
should
should
do
think
it.
twice about it.
Why can't, I mean...
It's not happening right now.
It's, without all those barriers, without all the, you know, the guidelines to put it together, this is really a souped-up way of doing, you know, the dual enrollment program.
Absolutely.
You know, but
not.
if you're sort of, it's a souped-up way because you're saying, now you're tightening the bolts and saying, well, really, it is, but we're forcing you to come over here. You have to be
No,
here.
the focus is on getting the 60 hours. That is the focus, on getting the 60
I know,
hours.
but it
Yeah,
On
doesn't-
being able to succeed with a cohort. We don't have cohorts at our schools.
Dr.
We
Moreno, let me
don't.
ask you a question
That's
on
an
this.
associate's degree.
What's the difference if I'm doing...
The
if
most
I'm-
you can get.
I'm a Nixon student. I like this program. I'm going to go to Martin High School, I'm going to do everything I have to do, but at the end of the year, I'm graduating at Nixon.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
The difference is a requirement by the state that it be a separate school within, that the school within the school come from only one
Regardless of in
county.
the school, you're getting your diploma, but you're going to graduate, you're going to walk down the aisle with, in green and gold, in my case, in green and gold, and you get your magnet school you get your diploma from the dentist, health and science.
Mira,
If they're able to graduate.
we need to discuss this more.
We can talk
but
about that.
I hope you keep
because-
this in mind also. Why 60 hours? To get an associate degree, now we're targeting only towards an associate degree. They may want to just continue going to college and go to a
They will
university.
continue after.
So we
They're not gonna be
don't
tigers anymore.
we don't have to
60
target.
hours-
Well, let me
the
tell you
60
why.
hours is
Because the
only-
college has a requirement or requirements for the associate's degree,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And if you stick to those, you may be sidelined from pursuing the
No.
four-year degree.
No,
You
you're
may?
not.
You
No,
may?
no.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
No, it's not going to keep you from going 4 years, Mr. Valdez.
No, because you have to take these certain
they
courses
have to
only.
On the contrary, the
Cohorts, you know, they
state
can
is
go either way.
promoting, on the contrary, the state is promoting that people get associate's degrees to a much greater extent than ever before.
The
So-
state.
Yes, they are.
Next item.
Next item.
All right, that's nice and clear. Item number 13, discussion and presentation on the proposed revisions to policy CKE local regarding body cameras for district law enforcement staff. We completed the grant, and we've approved the grant. part of the requirements of the grant is that we have administrative regulations, local and legal policy, which we've attached all of that for you, and we're recommending approval on consent
Dr.
agenda.
Nelson,
All right, good.
the one question that I have and that I'd like for us to clarify is, will the cameras be on, or are we going to be waiting for someone to make a request for them to be turned on?
They're on all the
No, no, no. I know why I'm
You
asking.
know the answer to that?
Yeah, I was in an accident like that, because I read that.
Everybody's got a camera right now.
So, our vision is that the cameras will be on, to answer your question. Now, obviously, the regulations spell out some of that.
Yes,
So, you know,
in detail.
but the question is, they're not like having to be requested to be turned on like our special ed cameras.
Okay,
These are
well, I-
on the, yeah,
I
we're talking
decide,
about,
okay, these are law enforcement. My
yeah, I'm
question's
talking
on the
about body
special
worn
ed.
cameras,
Okay.
yes.
I have a question. What's our cost on all this?
All right, so
It's about $50,000. We have a grant.
No, you have a grant for the cameras. You don't
Right.
have a grant for the storing of
Matching,
video.
no matching.
You don't have a grant for
Part of the whole thing.
when
Security
there's an
of it.
incident that happens, that they have to have an archive of everything, you can, now everybody can come and ask for open record requests on that, who's
Yes,
going to
sir.
process
That's
something.
in
We
the,
have-
that's in the
we have-
regulations.
We have that level
It's
of
the
detail.
regulation, but how much is that going to cost us?
we already
I
committed
talked to the
ourselves to
police
that.
Minimal.
and that's why they're struggling with this, because the cost
Who's struggling?
the cost to put everything you have to keep it, I think, for a certain
Storage,
amount of time.
90 days.
Yeah,
something.
no, 90 days.
Yes,
Not 90.
that's what I
You
said.
have to keep it in storage, there's a lot of stuff that you
I
add
think
to
there's
this.
some
not expensive.
bigger benefits to this
That's not
than...
a
No, I understand it,
problem.
but what's that cost?
Why do we need the camera?
That's not
Cameras
a
cost you
problem.
We're
$5.
committing ourselves. Cost is irrelevant.
They were probably going to be
It's,
minimal. I think they
innovative
do
program,
have
yeah.
several fund sources.
Perception of
They get
excessive force.
seizure, forfeiture money here and there. We can make it happen. Now, if they can use
Oh, I
those
think it's a
same
great
funding
idea. I just see,
sources
have
to
we
buy
seen
what they need.
the whole budget? Have we adjusted our budget to what it's going to cost us to maintain?
Well, for me, that's the planning on their part that they should have
Right.
done when we applied for
Okay.
the grant.
We already have surveillance all over the district. We have regulations for how long that information is stored. We meet all open records requests. We, what we call blackout faces or whatever we do.
Body
cover the
cameras,
fa-
read up on it, it's a huge cost for I think they're the best thing to have, like Mr. Martinez said, we need them, but just look at the real cost of all that.
Right, we'd be in a bad situation, I would say, to our Chief Technology Officer, to our Executive Director of Student Services, that if there was some kind of unexpected spike in funding, because we were, right now, we store stuff, Trustee Garcia, so we'll check into that, and I don't think that cost is exorbitant. But if you'll just allow us to, the rest of the regulations is a little bit more, like, I would just encourage the board to know what we're suggesting, because it's unprecedented innovation in school districts,
Right.
so.
Next item?
Thank you. Item number 14 is discussion on TASB Policy Update 105, affecting the following local policies: BJCF Local, BQ Local, CLB Local, CLE Local, CPC Local, DBA Local, DBB Local, DFBB Local, DFFA Local, DFFB Local, EHBD Local, and FDC Local. This is from our Texas Association of School Boards Consultant Services.
So
They-
this is where I have the question on the body cameras for special ed.
Okay, and Dr. Moreno, respectfully, I think if you look at agenda item number 15, that's update 106, and we have our Director of Special Ed to do that one explicitly.
Okay, then on
This-
this one, on
explained
these,
it in
I have
detail.
other questions also.
Okay.
IPM coordinator, that's, yeah.
Which
Pest
policy are you looking
management,
at?
CLB. Could we have a presentation at the Operations Committee on who the IPM coordinator is?
Yes, it's our
And-
Director of Maintenance and Operations. Are you in charge of pest control?
And a...
Oh, I'm sorry,
an
Risk Man, you in
agenda-
charge of pest control?
He's in charge, he's in charge.
So, yes, ma'am, we can provide a presentation on
And an
that.
agenda that talks about the plan or compliance, how it is that to what extent are we in compliance already, or we're not in
Absolutely.
compliance, or where are we?
We'll bring that in October.
And then on the flag displays, who's responsible for that? That's CLE local? It says that we have to make sure that we've got certain flags.
Our Office of Communications coordinates that now.
Okay.
For installing the actual flag itself?
No, but well, I'm talking about the display of the flag.
Texas and U.S. flags in the classrooms when the Pledge of
Oh.
Allegiance is recited.
But not in any LISD building, that's according to their...
Primarily in this, it's for the classroom.
Okay.
And the other question I have is, there's mention about the motto, the national motto, "In God We Trust," that could be displayed. Do we have that in any of our buildings? Or
What
in any of our
policy is that?
schools? That one is CLE local. Or legal. CLE. The flag displays.
And so your question is, do we have any other place where we've displayed
No,
the...
do we have any position as far as having the words "In God We Trust" displayed anywhere in our district?
Well, I know that most of the educators, administrators, and members of the board that I am blessed, for lack of a better term, to work with each day, support the term "In God We Trust." We pray regularly at all of our extracurricular activities.
So can we look at this policy where it says that we can display this and
And move that way?
see if we're interested
In God
in
We
starting to
Trust.
see it and identify some locations or anything?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know if you saw in Mississippi, they've reinstated prayer in schools in the state of Mississippi.
That'd be good. Can I go back to the flag issue real quick?
Yes.
Yes,
Can we
sir.
get some uniformity on this? The actual flags we should be putting up at our poles and everywhere else that I've noticed, because we have some 3x5s and we have some 5x8s. I think we should be having the 5x8. These are 5x8s right here. And so some of the 3x5s are too short for the poles and when we display them. So
Well, we can work with Mr. Angel Velasquez and Mr. Neda. They're the ones that supply us with the flags when we order them. So
Okay.
for sure.
Just want big ones.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go outdoors, you can't have a 20-foot pole and a 3x5. It
Yes.
doesn't look good.
Different size poles dictate the size of the flag
Yeah, so
that's
it's a 5x8 is
hung
pretty-
on the flag. That's
For outdoor
correct.
use, 5x8, maybe at the gym, 5x8, regular classrooms, 3x5.
Could we also have a presentation of the Operations Committee on the records management?
Under what?
Record management.
Records management?
CPC local.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions regarding our policy updates 105?
No, that's all. Thank you.
If none, may we proceed?
Yes.
Item number 15 is discussion on TASB policy update 106 affecting the following policy, EHBAF local, regarding special education video and audio monitoring. As you know, this unfunded mandate has come down from Austin. We are currently in compliance with our camera installation plan. It cost us $500,000 más o menos, and so now we have specific policies. Dr. Moreno, did you want to open with your questions?
Well, the question I had is, I keep reading that the cameras won't be turned on unless there's a request.
Right.
Who makes the request?
Sure, do we have Raul Gomez, our special ed director, to respond to the board president's question? Mr. Gomez?
Thank you so much, Dr. Nelson. Good evening, members of the board. Yes, Senate Bill 507 became into effect, Dr. Moreno, on August 15, 2016. And so basically what it requires was the installation, in our case, our cameras already been installed, and turning them on upon request from a parent, a board member, or a staff member. They also defined at that time what a parent meant. A parent is a parent of any student in that particular self-contained classroom Then they also define a staff member. A staff member is either the teacher or the teacher assistants in that classroom or any other support staff who provides services to any of those students in that classroom. Also, they included the assistant principals and the principals from that particular campus, Dr. Moreno.
So,
Can we put an action item to, we the board asking for those cameras to be on all the time?
No,
So we can
but
tell
the
them
law
now?
is different.
No, the board.
I don't mind, but now you start talking about storage and,
We
you
have
know, I
them- we
mean,
have them up there for a
we'd have to have
reason.
regulations for how long we kept it. So let's say we recorded emotionally an ED unit, and we recorded it all day long, well then, we'd have to have specific language on how long we stored that documentation. And right now,
otherwise, what do we say to anybody who wants to know about something that happened in the classroom? That
And
they're
we-
not turned on?
And we have, right now, Dr. Moreno, and again, I was waiting for approval for the update on this policy. We have Exhibit A, B, and C, and I'm sure that part of this presentation, right here. That's a request of installation, Dr. Moreno, and again, this is TASB's recommendations. Basically, the parent, the board member, or the staff member would need to request for the camera to be turned on. And once the camera is turned on, it has to be stored for 6 months, Dr. Nelson.
so, Dr. Moreno, to add to the response, yes, we're waiting for people to request it, and if they requested it today, we may not have the information stored from before, unless this board chose to direct us to do something different. But right now, if you ask to have us turn it on, we can't provide you documentation before today, or before tomorrow, because you requested it. And I think that that's a good model, because otherwise, we're going to be recording a bunch of data
And if something
that no one's
happens-
using.
So if something happened, too bad. We didn't get it.
I wouldn't say too bad. Our Human Resources Department, our Special Ed Department stand ready to investigate any type of allegation of abuse or neglect or anything that our special ed kids, our most nonverbal autistic kids, we have systems in place right now to meet with parents, review their concerns, and deal with any accusations that come up.
Let me ask you this.
Allegations.
If we give directions to turn on the cameras and keep them on, at the end of the week, there's nothing happening that we can erase them. But at least they're on. If something happens, we have video that something happened in the classroom. I know that we at the hotel, we have so many cameras. We keep them on. And we go back and if something happened, we have a tape, we burn it into and we have that for copy for insurance purposes all the time. You can put you can put cameras that only turn on with movement in the classroom. So if they're not in the classroom, they're outside doing something, then they turn off. But as soon as they come in there, they turn on. And if something happens, you already have it. Nothing happened that week, erase it. You don't have to store something unless
6 months.
6 months, sir.
if a parent asks for, not if the board asks for. The board is just telling them keep them on so we can have them on. If a parent does something different.
Okay. We can look at that legally. We'll look at that with our attorney. Mr. Manoa, did you like to participate in this conversation? No? You're standing there like, okay.
Just look at the
Look at-
I just like to make sure that we have, if something happens, we have to go by statement saying, here it is, here's the video, we burned it, turn it in.
Yep,
destroy
good
evidence?
evening, members of the board, Dr.
Special
Nelson. Just, the only feedback I wanted to add is the system is designed and built to hold up to 6 months. So if it's the will of the board and it's something that we need to investigate further, that really, as a district, we want to decide to just have them on because we feel like we want to be proactive and have it as a tool for us, as long as there's no legal reason not to do it. The system's ready to do up to 6 months. And after 6 months, if there's anything of interest there, it's easy to offload to a DVD or back up some other way.
Okay.
Mr. Gomez, do you have any final comments before we move on this side?
Yes, I just want to clarify that at this point, the Senate bill is only covering the self-contained classrooms, and again, it's audio and visual in the classroom, and then microphones in the restrooms.
See, that's important, Mr. Garcia,
That's
members of the
fine.
board. Okay.
Whatever we have.
Because our special ed boys and girls, special ed babies, as Mr. Gomez likes to say, a lot of them, we're trying to mainstream them. So a lot of where they have issues is when they're in groups of students that do not have the same handicapping conditions. But this is fine, this is good feedback, we appreciate the direction from the board, and what we'll probably do is put this on the regular agenda so that we can clarify all these things and give the board an opportunity to consider and possibly take action.
Thank you so much.
May we proceed?
Thank you, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Item number 16 is discussion and update on the Coca-Cola contract. This has been well discussed with the board. The board's been very clear. We've been hesitant, not to be disrespectful, but we've been hesitant to just completely erase our relationship with Coca-Cola because there's an ongoing revenue stream for our campuses. It's not large, but it is used. And so, having said that, based on the conversations we've had with the majority of this board, we feel like we now need to open up our contract and see if there are any other vendors that are interested in having an exclusive contract with LISD. If the answer is no, well, then we'll have that conversation about what to do next. But we would like to request permission to RFP, request for proposals, and see if anyone's interested in an exclusive contract with Laredo ISD.
Chris, can we do it as two? Can we do one as Coca-Cola soft drink vendor and a
Fruits and water.
Juices vendor, because I know they're out there.
Yes, we can have different combinations of deals.
So we'll prepare the RFP and bring that to the board. Okay? May we proceed?
Yes.
Item number 17 is discussion and presentation for the Memorandum of Understanding between the Laredo ISD Pregnancy, Education, and Parenting Program and SCAN, Serving Children and Adults in Need, for the purpose of coordinating drug intervention activities and services for pregnant and postpartum females during the 2016-2017 school year at no cost to the district. This was discussed at Curriculum and Instruction and/or Student Services, and we recommend approval. Any comments or questions? Item number 18 is discussion and presentation on the Memorandum of Understanding between UISD, LISD, Webb Consolidated ISD, and Webb County Juvenile Department for the purpose of providing an educational program for students who reside in the Webb County Youth Village, a county facility for juvenile offenders operated by the Juvenile Department at no cost to the district. We'll be recommending approval on our consent agenda. Our Student Services Department has coordinated this MOU with several conversations with United, Webb County, and Webb County proper, and Webb County ISD. Any comments or questions? No. Item number 19 is discussion and presentation on the Memorandum of Understanding between LISD and JJAAP with an estimated cost of $200,000. We pulled this off the agenda last month because we wanted to be clear that if you understand how Youth Village is going to work, we are basically losing average daily attendance monies from students that are in Youth Village. They will be withdrawn from our school district and enrolled in United. For us, we felt...
But that's under the 18.
Yes, but it has implications because the reason we pulled 19 last month is because I'm recommending that we have a teacher that we were funding and was spending all day at JJAP.
Okay.
And for me, I feel like we can use that FTE either at our current district alternative school or somewhere in our special education program. So we're having those conversations with Webb County. Any comments or questions?
I'm sorry, what are you going to use somewhere else?
Yeah, we have one FTE that we were funding for JJAP, and we will, since United ISD is receiving more funding from students that are being taken from our district, well, then we feel like they can fund extra FTEs that Webb County needs.
Can we not use that one to consider the assistant for history in our pack? We have one person handling high school. We've talked about this, high school, middle school, and everywhere else we have 3 or 4 people. And we struggle with those numbers this year at the middle school. And I just think we want to succeed, and we're not giving the tools to succeed in that area. We do one year good, we do it good in senior and high schools, but we struggle at the middle schools, and then we put them at the middle school to work more, and we do good in middle schools, but then we go down in the high schools. We got to be consistent, and I think everywhere else, it's part of our scores.
Well, your point is well taken. That's not really, respectfully, Mr. Garcia, the position we're talking about is currently filled by a person. They are certified in special ed. We don't know if they have any background in social studies.
Well,
But-
we've asked to bring that to us, and we haven't seen it yet, and we're already 5 weeks into the school district.
Right, and we can have that conversation, and I'm not trying to ignore that. I mean, we have a person doing social studies right now. She, in my professional opinion, focuses her efforts at secondary. You're right, we could, if we added one, we have to have a conversation about that,
Can we
because,
not do I'm sorry, just real quick, at master schedules, schools that, and another schools that are like 5 teachers over, 4 teachers, they're not a school that's 4 teachers over, that we have a history teacher that we can move over and help?
we can look at that. I just, that person's going to want to do high school, and I think our current social studies dean would say that's where she focuses her attention.
Well,
But your idea is
They wanna be
definitely
involved.
supportable. I mean, I understand what your call for additional social studies central office support. All right, may we proceed, Dr. Moreno?
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Item number 20 is discussion and presentation on the proposed procedure for the procurement of energy retail contract for the district. As you know, we have already secured Marco Arredondo as our energy retail consultant. He presented to all 7 board members this week at operations, and between today and May 2017, we need to take action on our energy retail contract, and we plan on having several conversations with the board as we seek and ultimately identify the best retail company to have our $5 million energy contract.
Let me,
question.
on one of those
After
things,
Ricky.
I'm
I
listening.
have an issue with the way this was presented to us at the beginning was we were going to get, and of which I didn't think we needed a consultant for this, but he was just going to come in here and explain to us what the processes were. All of a sudden, he's going to be the person that's going to be setting up the procedures for procurement. I don't think that that's what his intention or our intention was.
Yeah, I agree.
I wanted that person because several board members did not know what it took to get a contract like this going. But, in our operations meeting, he was moving forward to be the person that was going to be setting up the procurement processes to do such a thing. And I thought it was going to take away from what we do. And in other words, he was going to come in back with a recommendation.
Let me ask, in the same, I wasn't happy with it either. In our vendors, and that the state provides, that, food you buy here, don't they have one, what do they call
Retail energy.
Co-op.
the co-op? Doesn't the co-op have somebody that say, this is what we do with everybody else, and they do this?
Co-op was more expensive because the co-op
Well,
adds a
I'm
fee
asking.
to it.
That was our original recommendation, to use co-ops.
Right.
But then we were told to hire a consultant
Right,
to
right.
assist through the process. And so maybe,
Well, the consultant, what I
What's the
read
number
and
that
what
the
I
other
saw,
schools are doing with it? Like, what are
all
they
he was
gonna
going to do was explain the process
Right.
and not become part of the process,
I want to talk about this. You heard.
right?
the scope of work was presented in one of the committee meetings.
Yes, I remember.
And that's what, the RFP was in there, and that's what we published.
No, and I don't have he did the explanation. I think that's as far as we
You want
wanted.
to limit,
Yeah, we wanted to limit it just to the explanation and
Okay.
not the processes. And
I want to talk.
Like, remember he mentioned that they would have the RFP ready and they would wait till the right time?
Right,
that's
no problem.
Right, but who else is able to do that? Who else can determine that right time based on the market?
Well,
we can through co-ops, we can,
Through co-ops, but
Yes.
not otherwise.
Well, I think where the difference is that we need to go 2 ways here, and this is what I wanted to hear from him. More of the difference, because he gave us a list of 20, what are called REPs, retail energy providers.
Providers, the major
And
ones.
then he broke the other part down, which are the consultants, the brokers, and everybody else, right? Which is, I understand that. The idea of what the difference between both of us, he also explained. But he didn't go into enough detail for me to say, I don't want, he was pushing for the REPs. And the REPs are gonna, we're gonna have to send out an RFQ for an REP once he gets it.
ABC.
So if he chooses, yeah, because he's going to rank them, remember? They're all going to turn it in, right? Go
But
ahead, go
only
ahead,
they
go ahead.
respond to the RFP.
Yeah.
If I may,
That's what we use.
just briefly go through the procedure. The current plan is for the district to issue an RFP.
Right.
The RFP, hopefully, the REPs, the retail electric providers, will then respond. Let us say, for example, we get 15 responses. The evaluation committee and the consultant will narrow those to a pool of 10. Then those 10, let's say for the sake of argument, on November 1st, the consultant will test the market, and the pricing will come back, and when those 10 are ranked, we will have a predetermined scale. We are going to close at anything at 4.1 cents or below.
Right.
Then let's say for the sake of argument, on November 1st, we test the market, it's at 4.2. Well, it's not a good time to close. In 10 days, it's at 4.3. But right before Thanksgiving, we get a 3.8.
Right.
And that translates into
Huge dollars.
$600,000 a year. At that point, we have to be able to close within 4 to 5 hours.
Right.
So we'll present a range to close at, and then we'll be working with the consultant to do that.
So my
close the
point is
contract.
this, that this is a very important part of that whole system, is that we understand, I understand that perfectly, that we do have to lock into a price, but the actual processes of whether or not we get the swing, what they call the swing, that we go 10, 25%, 30%, 40%, whatever it is, that we already have that established as part of this thing. And
Yes.
it's going to be very important, because one of the things that we were talking about yesterday is that once we go through the process of which we're looking at right now with the air conditioning and everything else, that we're going to do some high-efficiency adjustments to everything. Well, they're going to lock us in at one number, and they're going to go out there and buy retail energy to cover what our current light bill looks like. Once we put in all this equipment to bring down our light bill, if we go beyond that threshold, our actual rate is going to go up. And so because of the dynamics of the way their system works, that's what I didn't want, that's why I didn't want it, you know, a particular person other than, like person like you or Flor to look into this, because in the best interest of the school district, let's say TXU comes out, well, we'll give you a 25% swing. And somebody else, another retail energy person comes in, we'll give you a 50% swing.
Well-
So are we going to rank them like that?
No, sir, we will rank them based on price, and the pricing will include swing. Now, at the point of time where the evaluation committee and the consultant meet, we will also meet with our executive director of operations and look at the square footage that will be added or subtracted within the contract period, and then determine the appropriate amount of swing to place on the
Very
contract.
good.
Dr. Moreno?
We
I'm
just have to
sorry.
be absolutely, and that's really what I wanted to hear yesterday, that's what the processes are going to take, because if we don't put those things together at the forefront, you know, they can determine whatever amount they want to be the swing. And,
Yes, no, the swing will be included in the RFP specifications.
All right.
Dr. Moreno, real
Yes.
quick. Mr. Alcantar, so what action do we need from the board at this time?
At the Thursday board meeting, we need authority to issue the RFP and to close at a predetermined strike price.
Dr. Moreno,
To kill the contract.
I'm sorry?
with the
We
consultant.
can't vote to, no, we want to do away with a consultant.
And what, go back to a co-op?
No,
If I may mention something about the co-op, sir?
Yes, sir.
Originally, as Ms. Ayala previously stated, our original recommendation was to go with the co-op. We were going to go with Region 1, but there were some comments strong comments expressed by the board stating that the co-ops, the consultants that work with the co-ops, because they also use consultants, they add 1 or 2 basis points to your price, and they make that money through the life of your contract for basically doing nothing.
So, Mr. Garcia, I mean, we could, but it was just going to slow us down.
But wait, but that's the whole point, that if we don't slow it down and we are doing this simply because they're pushing, there's a push here to try and get the lowest rate. I wasn't too convinced, because he said the REPs is the way to go. And with what I've read up, and I'm looking at it, the consultants and the brokers, for me, are the way to go. Think about the word retail. We are buying it at retail price, and he's consulting us and telling us, you should go retail. Well, if I'm trying to find the least expensive price, I want to go with wholesale. You see what I'm saying? And he's telling us that that's not an advantage to take, that's not a good thing, and he's using words like they're not qualified, or they're not protected, or they don't have the basis of doing that. This is the only reason that gives me some concern, because...
So you want to stop?
I don't want to stop the process. I just don't want that to eliminate a certain group of people that are part of that thing. So if a broker comes in and a wholesale comes in, open it up, because, under his consulting, he's telling us, just keep this group. And I think it hinders our process when he tells us to do something like that.
What we can do is discuss these points that have just been made with the consultant and alter the specifications to allow both retail electric providers and brokers to bid on the contract and see who gives us the best deal.
Let's just test it, because we don't have to, it's going to fluctuate back and forth. So
Yes,
I'm
it
not
goes
sure
up
it's
and
going
down
to be
daily.
a big open, but I just want to make sure that this board and LIZ takes full benefit of it, of this process. Because, everybody's in it to make money. I know that. That's the name of the game in that business.
Can we not
But
ask the
I
guy
just
outside
don't wanna-
HEB that always selling electricity?
Yeah. Ambit. Give it to an
Hey, I
Ambit.
got a school district. What do you mean?
It's actually
That's the one that has the best price.
Somebody finna get paid.
the same process here.
Talk about a commission.
It's exactly the same process here. I just don't want, to limit ourselves into just the
Next, I gotta go to
name
a
brand
political
people that he put in there.
Dr. Moreno, I would like, so there's a committee being formed that's going to review the criteria and the responses, that's correct?
There'll be an evaluation.
And so who's going to be on that committee?
Well, whoever the executive director of operations chooses, probably be the maintenance director as well.
Dr. Moreno, I'd like to ask permission to have the internal auditor participate in that activity.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. May we proceed to the next item? Our final item for this evening is item number 21, discussion and presentation on elevator inspection late fees being charged by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations at an estimated cost of $900. This is a special situation. We discussed it thoroughly at operations. We recommend approval. It was very clear that this is fees that were due to our error, but we need board approval in order to pay it. We recommend approval on consent agenda. That concludes our agenda items. Our final item is communication and updates. We have our regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting 1 week from today here in the Amber Yeary Boardroom. We have our Sarah Carrasco practice run, this Saturday. We also have hundreds of our teachers participating with Tammy Yu at the Shayna Peoples, the National Teacher of the Year, will be at Tammy Yu this Saturday. And a host of other activities. So,
Okay.
anything else?
Anything else? So meeting is adjourned.
Go Toros.
Thank you.
All right.